Oh, that was a good session yesterday. That was fun.
Hello, everybody out there in the land of Twitch. I'm Carlos A.S. Lysing. This is the first Betrayal campaign, which is the World of Greyhawk campaign that I run for my high-level patrons on www.patreon.com/casl entertainment. I'd like to introduce the players to you tonight. We don't have a full house tonight, but this is good in a way, and I'll explain why. Uh, Down right below me right now is David Aho. David, how you doing today?
Oh, not too bad.
Awesome. David is playing the half-elven ranger, ranger cleric, I should say, Arion Marquesas. And over there on our right, who is off the screen right now, you need to take a short break before we get started. That's Matthew Lazinski, who's playing our gnomish thief illusionist. He's Brixton Beholder's Bane. Now, I mentioned that we don't have two of our members tonight, which are Rainmar and Agrias. This is not necessarily a horrible thing because the last few times that we have played the game, the party is split right now, and Arion and Brixton just happen to be with one another. So I should be able to concentrate very heavily on their plot line tonight, which is a good thing. But before we get started, Brixton is away for a moment, so I'm going to talk a little bit about things that projects that we've been doing lately. Arion, I understand that you were in a game of AD&D yesterday, were you not?
Yes, and so were you.
Yeah, I was. I was a player in that game. That's how I know.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about the game that you were in.
It is a game with the setting of Avramir, which is we're using like a combination of the old basic mold bake cook BX basic expert sets mixed in with a little AD&D in an Avramir world setting with has a lot of different creatures and or modified creatures, a little bit of science involved into it instead of just fantasy like AD&D and Greyhawk. So it's a little bit different, but it's very compatible and it's works alongside um, the old original AD&D or basic books.
For those of you
And
who are familiar with Castle Entertainment's catalog, I'm a huge enthusiast of the Avramir setting, which David is holding up right now. Avramir is the brainchild of David Hill, otherwise known as Mache Publications. I was so enthusiastic about the setting that I've actually written 3 modules for it that you guys can pick up off of castlentertainment.com if you want to. But before you even do that, I'd encourage you guys to look up Avramir, look up Mache Publications. It's really high quality stuff that harkens back to the old days of OD&D. Even though we played with the basic set yesterday, the OD&D feel is very strong. And I would say the setting reminds me, David, I don't know, I won't put words in your mouth. I'll let you answer this for yourself. But for me, the setting reminds me a little bit of the Saturday morning cartoon Thundarr the Barbarian, where you have a science fiction kind of addition to the cool fantasy aspects.
Yeah, that and also the Herculoids.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
The Herculoids is like a space type of thing where there's lasers and
right.
technology, computers, but you're still dealing with like a fantasy setting.
Sure.
And this is more geared fantasy with a little bit of once you get into it, referencing our little session we had during GaryCon or Game Hole Con with you. I keep forgetting that setting has a little bit of that particular electronics technology in it.
Right, and Dungeon Masters can emphasize or de-emphasize that. If you don't like chocolate in your peanut butter, you don't have to eat the Reese's cup. You can run it as a strictly fantasy setting. But if you like that, like I do personally, because I think that's one of the things that distinguishes the setting from other settings, I actually emphasize it more than maybe even David does. Now, over there on our right, like I mentioned before, that's Brixton Beholder's Bane, Brixton. Brixton was just out of the country not too long ago. Did you have fun, Brixton?
I did.
That's awesome,
I
man.
did.
Brixton was over
Yeah.
in Spain, for those of you guys who don't know. And he was he just on vacation, I believe, was it?
Yeah, I have a friend who lives out there teaching English, so I went and kicked it with him for a few weeks,
That's totally
couple
amazing.
weeks.
I mean, for myself, I've learned the most in my life. Actually, the lessons I've learned most in my life have come from going overseas, like when I was in the Air Force in Greece and going to other countries from there. That and my wife is an Australian citizen, so I fly down to Australia probably once every 4 years or so, 3 or 4 years, and it's just a cool. You mentioned a little bit earlier, not quite in context, but a process for personal growth, and I think that getting exposed to new cultures and things like that it expands your horizons immensely.
Yeah, it's really cool. And Spain is such a different culture than a lot of the other places I've been. Like I go to Japan often, and I haven't been to Europe for about 9 years. And so going to Spain was really different because we went up to France for a bit, and just the schedule of the day was strange, right? France, the we went to Bayonne, which their schedule was 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Everything was open, and then Spain, everything's open till noon, and then they're closed from like 3 to 7, and then 7 they're open again, and 11 is dinner time, and the bars are full at 10 in the morning. So it's just a completely different timeline for their culture.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. It's something I would really like to experience myself. So if any of you guys are out there in Spain right now watching this, I'm available for convention play if you guys want to get me out there. Speaking of Castle Entertainment, a lot of you guys watched the show with Luke Gygax that we had last week. It was an awesome show for Castle Talk, which is the arm of Castle Entertainment where we do talks with players and formative founders of the Greyhawk experience. Just to tease you guys a little bit, next month um, we are going to be having a guest that is very near and dear to my heart. He's one of the true gentlemen in the hobby. It's Jeff Talanian, and Jeff, some of you might know, or some of you probably may not. He worked with Gary Gygax near the end of his life on the Castle Gig stuff, and we're going to talk to him about how his view of Greyhawk was informed with working with Gary hand in hand at the end of his life, and some of his personal experiences and views on the setting. Now, Jeff is one of the nicest guys you can ever meet. His product is out there called Astonishing Swordsmen and Sorcerers of Hyperborea. Um, it's a very first edition feel, very grim, gritty. Uh, the stuff that he does for that setting is amazing, and it's another one like Mossshade Publications and Avramir that I really would recommend people get into. But besides that, I'm working tirelessly right now on the my GaryCon modules. I understand. I know Arion, David. I know you're going to be there at GaryCon. We're
Yes.
still trying to rope Brixton over there, Matthew, to go to GaryCon. I don't know if it's going to be possible now with some recent events, but we'll see if we can get him over there. Maybe I can convince him to go in if I buy his badge or something like that. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, gentlemen. I think that kind of wraps up everything that we're doing right now. You guys ready to go?
Oh yeah.
Born ready.
All right. That's what I like to hear. Okay, everybody. The last time, we'll do a little bit of a session recap for those out there in the audience who weren't able to see us the other day. Arion and Brixton have split off from the main group. The main group traveled from the city of Cavericks, the village of Cavericks Cove, down to establish a foothold near the mountains and the forests bordering the southeast portion of Radek, right on the shores. As they did that, they learned that there was a city not too far from where they were located. And at that city was rumored there were many magical items that were water themed because they lived their life so close to the water, that were lost when the city was overrun. Supposedly the city is haunted as well. So there's a lot of things going on with that. Now, our two players have discovered, though, that this isn't quite what it seems because they traveled apart from the other group who is establishing the foothold still. they traveled down the coast and up the river to this city. And when they found a way into the first thing that they found is catacombs underneath the earth that are leading towards apparently a city. It doesn't seem a whole lot like what they were maybe expecting. It may not even be the same city as far as they know. So they're still learning things about where they're going and what's going on with them. Moreover, though, they've met while they're underneath in these catacombs underneath the what may or may not be the city. They've met a necromancer. Her name is Yade, and Yade is a very caustic individual, and her and Brixton have been going back and forth quite a bit lately. No one's quite sure if they can trust her or not, but they're learning very quickly. The last time we were dealing with the players. They were in the middle of, they just opened a door towards what they believed to be the city. They were getting ready to go down a corridor. They found an area that reminds one of their teammates, who is a dwarf, Merrick, reminds him very much of the way that dwarven cities are built. So they may or may not be onto something. We'll find out here in this episode.
And we fought a couple oozes.
Yes, you did.
When we left off, we ended up going into a dwarven dwelling.
Yeah, you were in the first part of the dwarven dwelling.
Basically lit it on fire because a gelatinous cube came out of the skeleton.
Correct, and you were able to go ahead. You were able to destroy the gelatinous cube with fire. Fortunately, before we get down to brass tacks here and begin our game, I want to remind everybody out there in the audience. What we do over here on the First Betrayal campaign is Theater of the Mind. We don't have I don't deal with too much of a flashy Twitch stream. That is all changing. Just so you know, Brixton and Arion, I was in the middle of, when you signed on, creating the new game environment because I have something exciting to announce. We're going to start integrating Fantasy Grounds into the setting. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want you and everybody in the audience who may or may not see every episode to be able to visually see where you're at. So you'll be able to see a map. You'll be able to deal with inventory stuff real time. I'm inputting everybody's character into it, and I'm putting in the scenario into it right now. So you guys, it's something really exciting. Hopefully it'll work out as well as I expect it to. But everybody out there in the audience, you guys can expect a little bit more of an addition to the Theater of the Mind game than we usually run. I think that'll probably be welcome on the part of the players who sometimes Theater of the Mind, unfortunately, a lot of times you get confused about what's going on, particularly. You could miss 3 words, and all of a sudden, the next thing you know, you have no idea where you are. So,
Like
exactly. And I'm going to make sure that you guys have a chance to interact with the game setting a little bit more. But anyway, going back to where we were, you guys were in that room in the dwarven dwelling. The room was very Spartan, as I described in appearance. In the middle of the room, there's a circular table at which a skeleton sat. The skeleton was, as it should turn out, the gelatinous cube, a small, very small gelatinous cube, lived inside of the skeleton of this dwarf. And it crawled out to attack them. Now, actually, now that I think about it, you guys aren't in that room anymore, because what ended up happening was the room got lit on fire and you had to back out, close the door, because the smoke was so heavy. You guys are in the hallway. To the right of you, you're facing the door. To the right of you is the hallway from which you came. To the left of you, the hallway continues onward into darkness about maybe, it starts to become a little bit difficult to see at about 30 to 40 feet because your infravision fails at that distance. Right. But even farther than that, it's impossible to see anything in the distance. Now that it's the two of you, Arion and Brixton, I'm going to ask for a caller between the two of you. Who would like to be the caller for the party at this point?
Go ahead, Brixton. You've been doing a pretty good job with it. I'm not the greatest at that type of a role.
Okay.
All right, I'll try not to get everybody killed this time.
Okay, Brixton is the caller for the group. For those of you guys out there who aren't really all that familiar with 1E or the way that it works, the caller for the party is not necessarily the leader of the party. The caller is who I directly interact with and I tell that make sure that the plans for the party are set, marching order, things like that. Um, I would assume that those two would collaborate on these things as we go forward. And as a matter of fact, Brixton, this is a good time for me to ask you, what is the marching order for your party? The people that are there right now as we speak are yourself, Arion, your apprentice, Sonny, the necromancer, Ide, and two of your fellow teammates, which are Merrick Magmaborn, the dwarven fighter, and Einar, who is the Viking cleric. Brixton, what kind of marching order would you guys like to have?
So I think we had it. I think I was leading with Sonny, and then Merrick behind us, and then we had Arion and
Einar and Ide.
Yeah, in the back.
Okay. So Arion, do you think that's a good composition?
I think so, because we're short enough for them to shoot over us. Because
yes,
Arion uses a bow, Einar uses a crossbow, I believe.
Yep, that's correct.
And then, I mean, we don't know much about
Ide yet. So okay, I think personally, I think that's. Go ahead.
I think I've also been bouncing back and forth between like the second to last row and then back to Ide, and watching behind and conversing with her now and then.
Now, the only problem that you guys are going to have in this scenario that you guys have found yourselves in is, remember that Ide and Einar are both human, which means neither one of them has infravision. Now, so far as you guys have gone through this adventure, no one has used an actual torch or anything like that. And if you have, you've made sure the party spreads out quite a bit so that your infravision isn't spoiled. Now, Brixton, as you go on forward right now at this particular time, will you give those two a torch, or will you let them follow you guys blindly?
I'll probably have a torch in the back and try to stay just in front of it so that it doesn't.
Okay. Ide has the torch. Arion, are you going to be 30 feet ahead of her so your infravision isn't spoiled, or are you going to be, or don't you care and just use your typical vision?
I will do that. Either that, or I think what we were doing also before is that if we weren't using a torch, we had one of them with either tied with a rope or had a guy had a hand on his shoulder.
That is correct. At that point in time, usually.
Right now, I think the 30 foot ahead is probably going to be fine.
Okay. And Brixton, how far ahead of Arion would you and Sonny like to operate? Another 30 feet?
No, probably just. I don't want to spread the group out too much.
Okay.
So probably just in front of Arion.
Okay. Brixton and Arion, you guys are you going to wait until the fires die down in that room and go into the room again, or would you prefer to move forward down the hall?
Yeah, I'm gonna ask Merrick before we move on, because we're kind of. My intention of the Dwarven city is to kind of look for the forge, weapons, supplies, that kind of stuff before we move on to the human settlement that we believe is where Yanara, what's her name again?
Ide.
How do you spell her name, by the way?
Y''DAE.
Okay. Ide.
Okay.
Ide.
And then before we go hang out with her friends.
Right.
So.
Well, Merrick kind of sighs when you ask him about his thoughts on this, and he looks at he says, the only thing that's really kind of bothering me about this place is, have you guys looked at the ceiling yet?
Yes.
He looks up at the ceiling. He says, the first thing that strikes me here is this ceiling is, 8-10 foot tall? I don't know a single dwarven city that would build a hallway that's 10 foot tall. We usually only make them 6 tops, and the reason why we do that is because we want to put everybody else at a disadvantage if they happen to come in and attack the city. So I'm expecting a 5-foot ceiling here, and this is not what I'm seeing at all.
Right.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, though, that's the hallway that we're in. The room that we had lit on fire, that was actually a 6-foot ceiling.
Right, exactly. He goes, so what I'm wondering is, why is this way and the room the other way? I don't get that.
Yeah. We didn't even know. Well, this city wasn't even supposed to exist, right? Because they weren't supposed to have any
Yeah, that's true.
ties with the humans. So maybe there was more influence between the parties than we anticipated.
Yeah, I guess that could be.
They may have
Yeah, go ahead.
they may have made the hallways interconnecting a little bit taller if they had some kind of a trade.
That might be.
But
That might be.
in the actual residential area, then I think then they may go back to that 6-foot lower ceiling height.
Right. Well, yeah, I guess it's just something I noticed. I thought you guys would want to look at that. By the way, just so you guys know, this passageway is actually sloping a little bit. It's like maybe a 1% grade. It's not very sloping at all, but I can tell it's the grade is not the same.
Now, how far away was
Going
the
up or down?
Down. How far? What?
Okay.
how far away was the room with the metal doors that we came through?
The room with the metal doors that you came through, probably about 100 feet behind you.
Okay, well, can I suggest we go look at the other metal door that we haven't opened while we wait for the smoke to clear out of this room?
Arion?
I don't see a problem with that.
Okay, Brixton, you're going to lead the party that way then?
Yeah, let's go invest just in case something's behind there. We don't want it following behind us. And that might be a better room to go in.
Ide stops you as you get ready to go past her. She looks down at you. Actually, she gets down on one knee, kind of holding her staff a little bit so she could look at you face to face. She looks at you and says, before we go anywhere, now would probably be a good time for us to, shall we say, put all our cards on the table. I have no idea what you're capable of. Likewise, you have no idea what I'm capable of. If we're to work together...
I pull out a deck of cards.
She looks at it. I didn't mean literally, Mr. Beholder's Bane.
Well, you have no idea what I'm capable of.
No, I don't. But that's what I want to talk about. I know what you look like. For example, I know Arion here is wearing a holy symbol, so I assume that he's possibly got some sort of a priestly mien to him. But for the rest of you, I'd have no idea. And I think it's a good idea that we know each other's strengths and weaknesses.
All right.
Please begin. She's looking right at you. She's on her knee. Got her staff.
You first.
Yeah, go ahead. Or would you like me to go first?
Yeah, you go first. You go first.
Very well. Well, I suppose that all of you know that I'm a necromancer, but it's not simply a wizardly necromancer. She reaches into her robe a little bit and pulls out the holy symbol. It's a flaming skull. She says, I'm actually a priestess as well, of the goddess Ouijas.
That's the one. Priestess and wizard, or just priestess?
Indeed, priestess and wizard. I revere Ouijas in her aspect as a guardian of the dead. Allow me to explain. My goddess shepherds the dead, souls of the dead, from the prime material plane to their just reward, whether that be in Acheron or whether that be in Nirvana, she says. I detest intelligent undead that would cheat my goddess or those that have died of their just deserts. She says that is unnatural. However, she says, as for the bones and the bodies of those dead, she kind of points back at the room where her skeletons were. She says those are simply tools. The souls of those things have long since fled the prime material plane.
I don't have an issue with your friends.
No, she says, but I know that during our initial meeting, as a gesture of goodwill, it was important for me to do that. You need to know that you could trust me, and so I removed them from the situation. Now I'm in search of new bones and bodies, of course. I'd like to replenish them, but you should know why it is that I hate the intelligent undead. And as I explained to you, I have the ability to cast spells, whether they be priestly or wizardly, and I have an ability to raise the bones of the dead as tools. I can't be very, I can't do so frivolously. I use my staff to do that. She kind of holds up her staff with a skull at the end of it. But it's something that I can do. Now, it's your turn.
Now, can anybody do that with that staff?
Oh, no, no. You need to be a necromancer to know how to make it function properly.
Gotcha. Just checking.
Of course. Smiles a little bit.
I'm a circus clown. I'm an illusionist.
Of course. She says.
And I can cast a little bit of wizardly magic.
I see. And you, Arion?
I am a ranger type, like scouting outside and just stuff like that. I also am a cleric of Ilona.
Ah, yes. Yes. She looks over at you, Brixton, and she says, and this is your apprentice, I assume? Points over at Sonny.
Yeah, Sonny, what would you call yourself?
I'd call myself apprentice to the great Brixton Beholder's Bane, the greatest illusionist that's ever lived. She looks over at him. He's very modest, unlike some of us. She kind of looks right back at her. But he's very, very talented. He's a skilled warrior, he's a skilled burglar, and he's a skilled illusionist.
Nothing like a little bit of an ego boost, right?
She looks back at her. She says, just pats her on the head. I suppose you're in good hands then.
I also have a familiar, but
Oh, you do? Where's your familiar?
it's sorry, I just read one of the Twitch comments.
Okay.
It's out at sea.
Oh, I see. Well, that's interesting. She says, so you haven't, aren't you worried that something untoward might come of it? So far away?
I feel like it's capable.
I notice you use that word a lot.
Yeah, it might be my downfall.
She laughs slightly. She goes, then again, she says it might not. I think that it's important that you're able to, I think it's very important that you're able to trust your familiar. I'm just concerned you know the fate of wizards and illusionists that lose their familiar.
Yes, I'm aware, but I can't be everywhere with her as much as I'd like to be.
Oh, very, very good. Yeah, of course.
She lives in a very different environment than I do, which is part of the reason we're here.
Oh, I see. I see. Perhaps you'll be more forthcoming about that as we get to know one another. She looks over at Merrick. Merrick looks right back at her. She goes, I hit things with my axe and kill them dead.
He's really good at that.
And particularly orcs. So if you're an orc lover, he looks right at her. And I've known a couple humans like you to be orc lovers. Then you and me aren't going to be friends. Well, you have nothing to worry about. I'm no orc lover. The only thing I love about the orcs is that they like to die off in droves, and then I can use their bones as my servants. Einar looks over at her and he goes, much like you and Arion, I'm a priest of Vatun. I puts his hand over his chest. Interesting. Very well, then. I think we all know each other well enough. Brixton, I'm sorry. I was in your way. She moves over a little bit slightly.
I just,
You start walking. Sunny leans over and whispers to you, I think I like it even less when she's being nice. So you walk all the way. You begin to walk back and you go into the other room. You see the other metal door in front of you.
Now the room just behind us is the one with the ceiling that's slowly collapsing, right?
That is correct.
Can we close that door
Yes, you can.
just in case?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Okay. The door is closed. Will you take any steps to lock it or spike it closed or anything?
Yeah, may as well.
What are you talking about?
The door between this room and the main part that had the glass ceiling to it.
We had already closed it before I went down the other one, I think.
You had closed it at one point in time. You notice looking at it, it's open now.
Okay.
It's open now. And would you like to close it and spike it?
Is the other metal door open?
The other metal door is not open.
Before you do that, I want to take a look and see if there's any tracks coming from.
Please roll me a percentage dice, Ariane.
Percentile?
Yep.
32.
Several sets of footprints. They walk over towards the door where you guys just came out of, stop, mill around for a second, and then go into the other door.
They came from the passageway with the ceiling.
Correct. If you'd like to go and follow it further back, you can.
I don't. Should we? Would you think? I'm relating this to everybody else.
Okay. Ariane, one more time for percentage dice.
78 this time.
Looking at it, the footprints appear to be human in shape and size. Because it's on stone, you can't get any depth to the footprint, so it's hard to tell what weight they might be. Just the size seems to be about a human size.
Well, the other thing is, does it seem to be more unencumbered walking?
Hard to tell. There's nothing like a limp or anything like that.
No, but if you're usually encumbered, your feet go from being.
Oh, I see. A shorter stride. Yeah. No, it doesn't seem like.
And then the toes usually point out.
Okay. No, you don't see anything like that.
Okay.
But to your point, the stride length is probably about a 28-inch stride. That would imply to you about maybe a 5'5".
Okay, about my height then.
Okay, Brixton, your turn. What are you gonna do? And by the way, Ariane relays all that information to you.
Yeah, I gotcha. And they didn't go. Did they go into one of the metal doors? No.
Yes, it goes into the other metal door and disappears.
The one that we were planning to go to.
Yep.
Okay. I say we should just close and lock this and investigate the other metal door.
As you guys are getting ready to spike it closed, Ide looks over at you and she says, if we have to flee this area, getting through a spiked door is going to be difficult.
Merrick, do you think you can just bust down this door?
Looks at it a couple times. Yeah, if I don't know. Maybe if Marquesas is with me.
I mean, you can always send your skeletons to stop it.
If I had skeletons to stop it, I would.
How hard, instead of spiking, is there a way we could do like a trip latch or something like that from the inside? Something that we could devise, or I could somehow figure out how to.
You're looking at it. It seems like you're either going to spike it or not. Okay. Seems like spiking it or not is your option.
Okay.
So you guys do spike the door, and you're in front of the other door now, the other metal door. What would you guys like to do?
I'm going to investigate it for traps or any recent.
Please roll me a percentage dice.
I got a 37.
And roll me an 8 now.
2.
Okay, what you looking at it, there are no traps. It is locked. And as you look at it, it appears to you the handprints on the side of the wall, on the side of the door, imply recent use.
Okay. Can I unlock it?
Of course you can. Give me another percentage. No traps to the best of your knowledge.
3.
Oh, yeah, you reach in there, you get your lockpick. Really easy job on it. Pick it, you hear the lock pop.
Question: by recent use, are you saying just recent use, like dragging their hand across the door, opening it, and
Yes.
going through, or some odd?
No, it looks to you just like it's been.
manipulation?
When I say recent use, it means that you could see prints on the door because the door is metal. You
Okay,
could see the fact that there's dust that's been moved off of it. Things like
Okay.
that. It implies recent use.
okay, not like they've been trying to do something off the side.
No. It doesn't seem like that to you.
I asked Ade if anybody knew about her presence in here or if she was followed or.
Well, she says, and kind of pauses. She says, I did have adventuring
All cards on the
companions
table.
at one point in time that were here. She says, my adventuring companions, unfortunately, met an untimely demise. At least most of them did. I suppose there could be one or two of them alive, but I doubt it.
I have another question, just as an observation here.
Okay.
Those, the skeletons that she had been animating, are they like little piles of the bone dust, or whatever, where they were at
Yes.
when she dropped everything?
Yes.
Do I notice these tracks investigating those?
They stop and mill around by the dust for a second. In fact, it looks to you like one of them might have even dropped to one knee there to investigate it. Nobody touched it or disturbed it, though.
Okay. Okay. I just wanted to find out maybe if they're, they recognize it or
Right.
might have been,
Hey,
okay, this is who was in this room type of an idea.
right. Brixton? Hey, Brixton,
Yeah.
I just want to tell you that you did an awesome job on that lock.
Thank you. I was going to let you try, but
There's no way I could have done a better job with that. Besides, I don't want to fail and look bad in front of her.
Why do you care about what she thinks?
Well, because I don't want to give her any more ammunition to be. She just seems to be like, I don't know. She just seems to like it when we do bad, and I don't like that.
And well, she's gonna find ammunition one way or another. Don't let that stop you. You can't be afraid of what people think to stunt your greatness.
She smiles and says, you always know the right things to say. Okay, Brixton, you gonna go through the door?
Yeah, Arion, do you want to knock an arrow as I open it?
Oh yeah.
White pitch or non? By the way, you would suspect that you probably have about maybe 15 more uses of white pitch before you're done.
Well, I've actually got a whole lot more than that, I would think, because I think I ended up.
Oh, that's right. I forgot you supplemented your stuff. I forgot about that.
I had like I have 3 vials of it. And I maybe have gone through maybe one.
Yeah, one of them. I forgot that you supplemented with that. Yeah, okay, so you've got a little bit more than that. Or you're gonna white pitch or not?
We've got a torch. Well, Today's got
She's got the torch,
right?
Mm-hmm.
I've got I've got set, so if I need to, I can just quick dip and like.
Right. Okay, so you go ahead and do that. Brixton, you open the door, and you begin through the door. The first thing that you notice as you open the door is it's relatively cold in this area. Now that's a little bit different because so far in here you felt like it's been maybe a little bit warm up until this point. But the temperature drops maybe to about 60 degrees in this tunnel. The tunnel is actually sloping down significantly more at a higher grade to the point where you can notice it. It's probably about a 7-degree grade going downward. The ceilings are about 8 foot tall. They're slender though, the hallway that you see yawning before you. It's about maybe 5 foot in width. There's no light down there, and it is deadly silent down there.
Do I notice if it's an unnatural type of
Cold?
cold or
Now it does. Maybe it feels like that. There's just from your experience going underground, it either tends to be cold or hot depending on where you're at, and it just feels like
Subterranean.
temperature retention.
Gotcha.
Okay, Brixton, are you going to go forward then?
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose we should because this has had movement in it. And the other tunnel hasn't. So I'd rather not have something behind us. Except for a couple of gelatinous cubes, you know.
I'll be sure to watch very carefully, Ide says. By the way, one of our Twitch users just said deadly silent Freudian slip. Be careful. So you guys begin to go down the hallway. Brixton, I assume that you're going to have a weapon readied?
Yeah, I'll have my short bow ready.
Okay.
And then, I mean, I still have my hand crossbow at quick access.
Right.
So
You guys are beginning to head down now. Brixton is, you go down about maybe 30 more feet ahead. The hallway, again, it's very slender, very long, straight ahead. It's a little bit cold. It's very dark down in there. But the silence is something that really is off-putting. It is so complete, like you're aware of the sound of your own breathing. You're aware of the sound of Sonny's breathing, the footsteps behind you.
do I get a feeling that the silence might be magical?
Possibly. Yeah, you might. It's too complete. It's too complete.
I ask Yade what she thinks about it.
She looks at it. I'll tell you what I think of it. She holds up her staff slightly. The staff, all of a sudden, the skull atop of it catches on fire.
That's cool.
She looks.
Cool.
She looks around it herself.
So why are you carrying a torch?
This won't last very long, she says, looking around. Yes, this is definitely magical. She says, right, it's coming from down there, but there's some sort of abjuration effect around here that's permeating the entire corridor. Skull head goes out, lights go out, flame goes out.
Now, should we turn around? Do you think this could be one of your friends?
No, this is not what my friends were warriors, a priest, a couple of thieves. I don't think that this is them.
What about the magic users you spoke of?
Your ex-friends.
Oh, them. Well, I suppose it could be them. They certainly have the ability to wreak these kinds of magic.
Okay.
But
I tell Merrick and Sonny to keep an eye on the walls for any secret passages, any kind of...
And ceiling.
yeah, I'm
and
on
ceiling.
it. I'm on it. Nothing so far. Nothing so far, guys.
As I carry down, I'm going to keep one hand on the left wall.
Okay. So you got your hand on
Or I guess the right wall.
you got your
So I
hand
feel
on
like my bow would be in my left hand.
got it. Got your hand on the right wall. You're walking down there. Continue on
You
forward.
want me to put my hand on or like elbow or whatever as I'm walking down the left hand side?
Yes, please.
All righty.
You're walking down. Continue down the way. Brixton, make me a percentage die roll.
46.
Okay. On your way down the hallway, you're maybe about 100 feet, 150 feet down the hallway. Again, there's been no disturbances down the hallway. It's completely straight. And you, just at the edge of hearing, you hear a door behind you close.
Behind us?
Behind you
duped us.
close.
They duped us.
You hear, oh, by the way, from our Twitch gallery over here, this is where a 10-foot pole comes in handy, for my buddy Jason Zavoda said that. And Gafang mentioned, but we're all short.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so you hear that close behind you. You being a thief and Sonny being a fledgling thief, Sonny doesn't notice it, but you have the ability to hear noises much better than they do. You heard it, for sure. The door closed. You're the only one aware of it so far.
So my internet just kind of skipped out.
Yeah.
What did I miss?
Oh, okay. What you missed is I was explaining how you heard the door close behind you.
Yeah, okay.
And you heard
Okay,
and you were the only one that heard it because you being a thief and having that ability to hear noise is how you managed to hear it.
okay.
Also, Brixton, as a door closes, you become aware of the sound of other breathing.
Cool. Great. Where does that sound come from?
Right behind you.
Is it Sunny?
No. You look. Arion is the other one that's right behind you, and you look over at Arion. You hear his breathing again, and then it's gone. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just processing.
Okay.
It's like one of those horror games.
It is.
Can I make an intelligence?
Michael Myers come out of the shadows.
Right. No, Michael Myers does not come out of the shadows.
Can I make an intelligence check to see
Sure.
what that might have been, if I know anything?
Of course.
I don't know. That's a 20, right?
Yep.
19.
No. Nothing really seems to come to mind for you.
Just kind of weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's the only one that heard that, right?
Yes, he's the only one that heard that.
I'm gonna suggest we turn around, maybe.
Okay.
I tell everybody the door closed behind us.
Really?
And I hear some funky breathing that's not from us.
Day looks behind her. She says, I didn't hear a thing.
Well, I mean, all
How
cards on the table.
far have we gone down this passageway?
Probably about 150 to 200 feet. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm having some weird technical difficulties with Zoom right now. So continue.
This is stone construction. The door was what?
And we have a torch lit, right?
You do have a torch lit.
And I haven't seen anything with my infravision.
Nope, not yet.
The hall was straight. There was no curves in it, right?
That is correct.
Yeah. I asked Arian to go ahead and see if there's any footprints that continued down this way.
Okay,
Can you do that?
I can do that.
Just because if there's no more footprints, then maybe we got duped.
Could have been. I'll check that, so I know what I'm sort of looking for at least, unless you're frozen up there, Carlos.
Yeah, I've got some crazy issues going on. I'm trying to fix them as we go. But continue.
Yeah. if you didn't catch it, he said to have. I was gonna suggest that I go and check and see if there's footprints ahead.
Okay.
To see if it'd be worthwhile going down that way. So
Right.
that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
Keeping wary from all the other directions as well. Too.
All right. Sounds good. You guys continue to do that.
30% if you need that.
Yeah, I do need that. So yeah, you go ahead and you head down that way. And what I'm going to do right now, gentlemen, is we're having some serious technical difficulties. I'm going to put the game on freeze just for a second, and I'm going to reboot Twitch because I think that's our I'm going to reboot Zoom. Everybody out there in the audience, we're going to be right back in a second. We're going to try and suss out what's going on with these weird technical difficulties. Just stand by for us, if you would, please.
All right.